Welcome back, guys. This is Kimberly Graham, your co-host of the Affluent Marriage Podcast, and we're so excited to have you here for the continuation of our previous episode. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you guys know that you can follow us and converse with us at the Affluent Marriage Pod on Instagram. That's where you can find us to connect with us, like our content, share our content, any of those types of things, but we also want to hear your stories there as well. So excited for the new stuff that you're going to learn from today's episode, and without further ado, let's get back to the show. Right? The same rewards you're getting from swiping and spending money that you don't have. And they say, you get 2% back. I'm making my own reward system and it's coming back to me. And I'm getting way more than 2% cash back. Like, I would much rather have me give myself a reward than somebody else give me a reward with debt. Like, what? I think I love it because it does. Like, what you're doing right now by swiping without remorse is you're creating restriction for yourself later. You're consistently creating restriction for yourself in so many other areas of your life. But discipline and self-control creates freedom. It creates freedom in so many other ways when you're able to say, I can splurge. I can do this without guilt, without feeling like, oh man, what did I just do? I overspent. Like it's not a big deal. Okay, go spend, right? So it's not a bad thing. Discipline is not bad. Self-control is not bad. Anyway.
Right. And this ties into that, right? When you use the cash envelope system, it eliminates your reliance or your learned dependency on credit. Right? When that cash runs out, it's gone. There's no more cash. So when you see your cash is running low, you feel that and you make changes in your behavior and your choices. You say, you know what? Tonight, rice and beans.
Yep.
When you have a credit card, that's not your thought process.
Nope.
You might not even know what's going on with your credit card. It's not talking to you saying, hey, I'm low, right? You just swipe until it says declined.
Maxed. Right. And then once it's maxed out, what's the response? Not like, oh man, I'm out of my cash envelope.
Hey, we got another credit card you can apply for if this one's maxed
That's
out.
literally what they do, right? They'll either say, A, get another credit card and keep racking it up, or B, yeah, you'll be able to say, oh my gosh, it's maxed out. I now have no money. And panic sets in. You are creating restriction for yourself by not understanding where your money is going with that. So creating that safeguard for yourself in an envelope system allows you to have a tolerance for where your money needs to be. So you always feel in control and you always feel good about where your money is going. I love the cash budget system.
And it's when you compare it to Microsoft Excel, it's very approachable. It's easy,
very approachable.
Right? You've got your envelopes there. You write some words on it for categories. You put cash in them, and that's what you live by. It's super simple.
The same thing with the same thing though with like the apps, with the paper pencil, with this. You have to keep up with it. You have to use it because yes, you put the cash in there. So we're going to talk about like the cons of this. This is part of it. Yes, you put the cash in the envelopes and you say this is for groceries. But if you go to the grocery store and you forget it, that's one of those things where you have to say, crap. Now, am I going to just go ahead and go, F it. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my debit card and I'm just going to use what I have.
I've done it.
We've done it. It's not a bad thing, but are you going to stay in budget? Like that's up to you, right? Or am I going to do the work and say, I said I was going to stay on top of my goal. I'm going to drive back home, grab my cash envelope and go back out, which we've done that too.
Or you spend on the card and then next time you go home, you take that cash out and deposit it in the bank.
No matter what, there's a decision that needs to be made there.
There's some work to be done there.
There's a mental decision that's discipline and self-control that's being created there. So it literally is like boot camp for your brain to recalibrate all of that stuff. So cons.
So yeah, some of the cons. It's tracking. Tracking can be tough, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't necessarily know what everything in that grocery envelope went towards. You just know it was this number and now it's this number.
Yeah.
Like how much of that was spent on like the weekly meals? How much was that spent on fast food? Unless you have a fast food envelope. How much of that was spent on, you know what one gets us that's kind of irregular that we use our grocery money on?
Yep.
Paper towels.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. It's irregular. It doesn't happen every single week. But when it does, man, it's like a $70-$80 purchase to get all that stuff, detergents and cleaners and all that. And that comes out of the grocery budget. So you look at your envelope and you're like, man, why are we so low this month? Oh, so that wasn't us overspending on food. We had to buy like the household cleaners.
And it's normally like once a month or once every other month that we have to refill those things. But we always know when it happens. And then let's not add in the fact that you have kids.
You know what the answer to that is?
What?
A bidet.
You stay on this, getting a bidet. The other thing about that is diapers, right? As you get in there and your kids are like soiling diapers more often, like that's another thing that will catch you in your budget. But again, you have to just revisit it and reallocate funds as needed for whatever your goals are. It's vulnerable. The con of having the cash budget is you can be vulnerable to loss or theft, right? It's
that happened
totally
to me. Not,
possible.
well, I didn't lose, but that fear that happened to me, that was very real. The very first time that I withdrew those few hundreds of dollars from the bank, I was like, man, I've never had this much cash on me at one point in time.
Yeah.
And just the idea of walking into a grocery store, like that first time you withdraw it and you haven't gone home yet to like allocate things into envelopes, and you walk into a grocery store and you've got multiple $100s on you. Like,
oh my gosh, it's like creepy.
It's scary.
It's scary because you're like, anybody could just take my purse right now, and that's it. That's gone. What happens?
That's
then?
my week right there.
Yeah,
my 2
that's
weeks.
my whole week, right? So there's definitely
I get that. There is that fear, and it's legitimate. Like you could lose money, like that could happen, to the point that sometimes, I guess you could look at it both ways. Like there's times I guess we have lost money because 2 months later you found it in your jacket pocket.
It's very true. That has happened all the time. But it's also really fun. You know, it's like treasure hunt. I'm like, oh, I found an extra $20. That's nice.
It's actually just the 20 that I lost before. And then we ate rice and beans for a couple of days.
But now we have $20 and we're doing much better, and we can go get fun food. I don't know. But it can be inconvenience, especially if you have online transactions.
Right, trying to purchase something from Amazon.
Can't do that if you have cash. So, I mean, cash like in cash format.
We're speaking on a strictly 100% cash.
Right.
There's combination and half and all that. But go ahead, keep going. It is inconvenient. If you're strictly cash and you're trying to spend money online.
It can be super inconvenient to do that. It's also lack of, it's not flexible when moving money from one category to another. Like if you wanted to move like $20 from your grocery budget to your fun budget, like sure you could do that, but there really is no like.
But what if you wanted it to be like 17.54, like you're trying to reimburse? Like that's very tough to do.
That's been really difficult. So there are some people who write on the back of the envelopes and they literally write everything in there. But again, going back to that paper pencil, there's human error. There's how much time has elapsed between the last time it was written and the next time it was written. If you have two people using it, when did you do it? Like there can be a lot of things that you have to work through, and you have to be willing to be patient through those learning curves.
And it's just tough to manage. Like we talked about those irregular expenses, like you allocate a set amount of funds to every category, but sometimes irregular expenses happen, right? That, insurance comes through that doesn't normally pop up, or your utilities are randomly a little bit higher this month because you cranked that AC or that heat, or something. I don't know, maybe like that one time a year gym payment, like we just experienced that, right? Planet Fitness just charged me $39 that one time.
$39.
I know, but hey, it wasn't. It's known, but it wasn't expected.
Yeah. So those are some things that a cash budget is not going to be able to help you out with. So, so when you're talking about, again, we've talked through the pros and cons of the applications of spreadsheets, of paper pencil, and of cash envelope.
If anyone was listening and they were listening to your voice and how you talked about, not just now, but I mean like throughout the entire episode, I think I could list how you feel about each one. Like, what's your favorite, your second, your third, and your last favorite?
What do you think
of what we just? Well, let me first name these categories. Okay, so we've said envelope system, paper pencil.
And while you're listening, you can guess at home too.
Yeah, envelope system, paper pencil, spreadsheet, and like software. Right. I think we all know what your least favorite is. I feel like you've made it very clear that you're not a big fan of software. We put that at the bottom. After that, I would say paper pencil, just because I don't think you like that it's offline, and you made mention about expanding your business and how bookkeepers like they want the things electronically. So I feel like you think that's very like archaic and dinosaur. And then I would say, now this one's tough for me because I feel like You were most excited about spreadsheets, but the envelope system is baller. I would put envelope system 2 and Excel spread or just spreadsheets at number 1.
I agree with you 100%. Yes, I would say the cash budget and the spreadsheets are kind of like my jam, which is pretty much what we're using right now. Maybe that's why I like it.
Right. I don't have these same hostile feelings towards software and pen and paper, not pen and paper, but as you do. I look upon those, with fondness and memories, but I will say that like using the Excel spreadsheets, like I've never felt like I've been in more control.
Agreed.
I know that we are manually putting everything in, and that takes more time, but I like being aware.
Literally like 2 seconds.
I like being aware of my numbers as they go. And I know that takes more discipline. And I don't think we mentioned this, but we do like a little cash envelope system for ourselves.
Yes.
Only with
which we're going to talk about, like how we got to this point, because it was all for a reason why each of these things happened and why we have several different layers of tracking for our personal usage. So we're going to talk to you in this next part about our journey, like our means of getting to our desired goals and why we made the switches to these different things, because they all had some type of reason that allowed us to pivot. And I think that's the biggest thing that you have to recognize with this, is that you have to be willing to pivot. If you are noticing that there's a hiccup somewhere in whatever you're using, be willing, instead of being fearful and going, ooh, I don't know what happened, I guess it sucks, I'm not going to do it anymore. Like, be willing to go back and figure out where the mistake happened, or be willing to start over and try again, or be willing to tweak things here and there until you find the perfect rhythm and cadence for your learning style and your finances. So why don't you take us there? I know we've talked about it over and over again, how we started
I'll
things.
take you back.
Oh my gosh, that was very loud.
Always.
So how did we start?
We started our journey with a Dave Ramsey program, and we were introduced with a fixed income budgeting sheet, which we attempted to do. And we actually we did that from 2011 to 2018.
Yeah.
So for almost 6 or 7 years. We did a paper budget, and when we both had a fixed
practically
income,
perfected it.
I loved
proud
that.
of me?
Yes. For 7 years, we did that paper pencil budget, and it worked great because we both had fixed income. We were both teachers. We knew our salary. We knew exactly what we were making every 2 weeks. It was simple. And that's where we were at with our budgeting. Like, we needed something concrete. We needed something simple, something that was just easy for us to grasp, because we were newbies. We were beginners.
Exactly. And the app was really helpful for us during that, like we said before, to help us during the month. So then we could actually not have to be glued to a binder walking around with it all the time.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How early do you think we started using the Mint, right? Like, let's say,
I feel like 2 or 3 months in. Like, it was pretty quick.
6 months into our marriage, we started the course. So we started budgeting 6 months into our marriage. So you would say, like, by month 9, so like 3 months later?
I don't think it took us that long at all, because we were doing this and we were like, yo, I don't like this.
I don't disagree. I really do think we were incredibly turned off to the idea of writing down every single transaction. Like, it just felt like, in a world of expanding technology, that just felt so archaic.
It just felt very limited. And not only that, like,
there has to be a better way.
It caused more fights. I'll say this, because people ask if we fought, but I do remember, like, little fights, right? Like, what was this for? What did you go to Target for? And he's asking me this question, and that happened 13 days ago, because we're itemizing, and I'm like,
you're talking about the software or the paper pencil?
Paper pencil.
Okay,
like,
that still happened with the software too.
Yes, but we would be looking through, like, combing through and
folks.
tracking it and all that stuff. And he'd be like, oh, what did you go to Target for, 13 days ago? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't remember. And that would get really frustrating to me, because I always felt like the blame was on me. If he knew he didn't buy it, then obviously it must be me. And that's just a part of what happens. But, like, I would get really frustrated. So the app, even though we still had that question, but the app was really helpful because it categorized it on the go. So it was our responsibility that if we went somewhere, that we had to categorize it, and we tried to make it a plan to be like, hey, I don't like that we're kind of it's taking way too long to do this. can we try and like check in every week to make sure everything is where it needs to be? And so that's how that started, just by us communicating that we did not like how we were acting when we were doing our end of month budget and reconciling. So that's kind of where
that's how it started. And
yeah,
I guess what you could take away from that, number one, is paper pencil is very accessible to entry level and to fixed incomes.
Yes.
It also, when you're having those tiffs, Kim just, there were places that she circulated and there were places that I circulated. If it was Target, I really didn't shop at Target much. But if it was like the grocery store or Lowe's or Home Depot or
you
GameStop.
didn't do that when we first started getting married.
I'm trying to make myself sound great, Kim.
You went to GameStop.
Yeah, I don't know where else. But
he didn't really go very many places. He's a homebody.
You primarily were the person who went out and did the shopping for groceries and food and things like that. So you would be the person that I would ask. So the importance of this conversation is to know that you need to track regularly. Like you need to go in every couple of days. I know that might sound taxing, but go in every couple of days.
5 minutes, y'all.
If that. And check your categories on your software or check your paper pencil budget and ask the question then, because it's a lot easier for your spouse to remember what they did a day or two ago versus 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Save yourself from arguments.
Yes. So we did that for a while. Now, the thing that caused us to pivot the first time, because I feel like if we were still working on a fixed budget or a fixed income, we'd still probably be using the same one because it was working.
Right. So what happened in 2018, 2019?
In 2018, I quit teaching and I went into business, and I recognized how hard it was for fluctuating budgets, right? So fluctuating budgets was really hard, or fluctuating income,
irregular
was
income,
hard.
Fluctuating
I had
income.
an irregular income. I wasn't getting paid on a consistent basis. I was learning the ropes of starting a business. And that was when I recognized there wasn't a lot of stuff out there for it. That's when I started reading Profit First. That's also when we got a coach, because I was like, Coach, you got to help us because I don't know how this works. And so that's when she actually was the one who was like, oh, you guys should start using, I think it's called the Plan Ahead Method by Kelsey. I forgot, Kelsey Dickey is her name. But so she showed us that. And so that was something that was new for us. And so it was a new foreign spreadsheet. I remember looking at it and going, what the heck is this? This is way too intense. And I'm
telling you, spreadsheets are intimidating.
They are. And Amy and I were actually working together on something for the business, but it was really difficult for us to figure out. So I was like, I got it. I had a better understanding of what I needed to do. So then I went to start building. I went to start understanding how to build something that made sense for my business. And the first iterations of that, it was messy. So that's what got us into spreadsheets, because I had such a fluctuating income and I needed to know what was going on in my business. And I never really had a set time of when to pay myself to go to the household.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
I want to say something. No. Sorry, inside joke. So the point I wanted to make about that is you met with Amy and she worked with us on our household budget. And as a husband and wife, as partners, spouses, we both knew how to read and understand our household budget.
Yes.
Right? We both worked with that. I really appreciated that she encouraged me to be familiar not just with the household budget, but also your business budget. It wasn't my business. It wasn't my job. It's not what I'm working, but she wanted me to know your numbers and to know your spreadsheet and to know your business. And I don't know. I just appreciate being in the loop.
Yeah.
I guess like knowing your income. Like we talked about this on, how to budget with your partner. Like you got to share your income. So I just felt like it was helpful for us to know exactly what your irregular income was. Like I didn't just say, you know what, Kim will tell me when she tells me and I'll put it on the household budget.
Yeah.
Like we partnered together to both understand what you're doing. I'm not telling you I was perfect. I'm not saying that I looked at it all the time, but there were times where you're like, hey, can you take a look at this? And we'd look at it together.
Yes. Honestly, that was like some of the best. That was a really good pivoting moment for us because that showed my perseverance and that I was determined to figure out how to manage my business and how to make sure I paid myself consistently and how to make sure that I didn't overspend on new inventory. Like that was that was really, really difficult. But I made something that made sense to us. We knew from the budget, like the spreadsheet that we had, it told us how much we needed every single month, how much we stood to save, what it would look like a quarter ahead of time. And so we really liked how forward thinking it was, and it really helped us get closer to some of our goals. And so we knew that all I needed to bring in was like $800 at the low end, $1,200 at the high end, to be able to pay for all of our bills and be able to save the amount of money that we wanted to save into our sinking funds. So that gave me a good, like, okay, this is what I have to set out to do in my business. How can I make sure I profit that much every single month? So we always felt successful. But along with this is when we were like, okay, we're going down to typically one income. We don't really know when Kim's going to bring in her income. We really need to make sure we tighten down our budget. So what did we do to make sure that we had a really good handle on the miscellaneous funds?
We're talking about the envelope system?
Yes.
Okay. This actually makes me upset.
Why? Tell me.
Because when you find a good thing, I don't know, it's so good to us. Like the envelope system, like I cannot speak highly enough about this system. And it makes me upset that we didn't start sooner. We took the Dave Ramsey course.
Oh, you're so right.
Right out of the gate, right? 6 months in. And this dude preached the envelope system. But you and I were just like,
I didn't want to do cash.
Nah, we don't want to do cash, right?
I was like, oh, that's so tacky.
We turned our nose up at it. We were just like, nah. So, and mind you, we paid off $76,000 in student loan debt not doing the envelope system.
Yes, we used our debit cards and that was it.
We used his budget sheet, but we were like, no, we're going to do this our way. We're going to use our debit cards and we're going to be responsible, which we were, most of the time. And we're going to use this software and it's going to, because we wanted it to track for us. If we're using cash, we're tracking. If we're using software and our debit cards, it's tracking for us. And that was all I needed at that point, right? But man, am I upset because this envelope system has been so good to us. Like when we go back and we look at our months with the Mint and we look at our groceries and our fast food, there were multiple months.
Constantly in the red.
We were in the red. We would be, our budget would be, I want to say it was like $360. I wanted to say for the two of us, there's no kids. I want to say it was like 90. Like each week was like $90.
All inflation.
Constantly. Yeah, I know, right? Constantly in the red. Like we would spend $400 some, $500 some. There were months we would spend $600. I don't even know, Kim. I wish we could go back and just see us shopping. What in the world were we spending $600 on a month?
We hadn't found Aldi yet.
The two of us.
We hadn't found Aldi yet.
I mean, it's terrible. So we have the envelope system now, and we take out $400 every 2 weeks. So I know that's $800 for a month. So that's way more than we were spending, just two of us. But oh, by the way, there's four of us now.
Yeah.
So we've doubled.
I will say that I feel like we've kept, for the most part, I feel like it was $360 at one point, and we recently raised it when we had two kids.
Yes.
When we had Sophia, it was still $360.
Diapers and formula and all that stuff.
Yeah. So we inflate it so that we have enough for all of those things. But it was mainly $360. And when we first started doing this, got to the fluctuating income or whatever, $360. We would take out $360 and we put it some into a category for entertainment, some in a category for food, for groceries, and some in a category for our kid, like $20 to $40 because she was already potty trained by that point or something along those lines. And we noticed within the first couple of months that we had money left over.
What a bizarre feeling, right? We went from overspending in groceries by $100 to $200 every month to being under $50,
sometimes,
$60, $80, sometimes $100 under groceries. And I'm like, what?
How did that happen?
I don't understand. How, with swiping a card, would we go over almost $200 every month? Every month. Like, it was a shock when we were still green at the end of the month in groceries.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa, how did we do this?
How did we do that?
With cash, we've literally never run out. We always have cash left. And we spend way less. And I need to say this about the Mint because people might listen and say, well, there's four of you and you spend $800 now. Well, back in the day, it was just two of you. You spent $360. That's less than half of that. So it makes sense. You're spending the same then as you. No. On the Mint, that's just groceries. There was also a category for eating out.
It's true.
Right? There was like $120, I feel like, for eating out.
Yep.
So combined, it was probably $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Or so. Maybe like five or six. I don't know.
5 or 6.
So if you doubled that, I guess that was my point. It was probably like $500 or $600 for the two of us for a month.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's $800 for the four of us.
For going out to eat. For
everything,
groceries,
right? It's all included,
and
we're under,
and we're always under.
It's the cash. I can't say enough about it. We only do cash for groceries and food. Here's the other amazing thing about the envelope system and tracking. When we're going to the store and we use the cash to buy, like, we don't track that.
No,
because we know it's all groceries.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're filling out our budget, there's not like 100 different line items that say Weiss, Target, Food Lion, Shoppers, Publix, whatever. Like
we don't have a lot of that. And a lot of times with my clients, that's
saves us
the main,
a lot of line items.
Exactly. So the line items, so just to give you an idea, when we started doing this together, we realized this was the perfect juxtaposition of both of these amazing methods for us. Okay. And granted, we started with paper pencil. If you're with us in 2011, it is now 2023. So it has been a long time for us putting all these things into practice. But
we started with something very accessible.
Very accessible and simple.
Now we use something that you took an 8-hour course on.
Yep.
Nerd.
But so the spreadsheet, but hold on. But my clients get all of that expertise and I teach it to them and they're able to like jump all of that time frame, which is why coaching is so valuable. Moving on. So
you're like the DeLorean.
I am. One-stop shop, all the things. Give me all the weird doors. So with the incorporated the envelope system that handles groceries, going out to eat, and what other methods we said, we only have those 3. So some people think the envelope method is all of the categories. We just wanted to do the 2 categories that we mostly overspend on. So that's the things that we chose. And we said, let's start there because that's what we need more discipline in. Everything else is automated. So when it comes to our tracking, most of the stuff, stuff is automated. We're literally just going through there and go, oh, did Planet Fitness go through? Check. Did USAA go through? Yep. Was it any different than this? Oh, it was a little different. Okay, let me change that number. That is all we're doing. We're literally just going check, check, check. It's just a check balance system. That's it. There is the occasional time.
Irregular.
Right. There is the occasional time that we are, swiping our card to, maybe get something for the car or whatever. Those miscellaneous funds is pretty much the only things that we're actively tracking, right? But the only other thing, it's a line item that we're getting $400 out after every paycheck. There's a line item in there that we are saving upwards of $1,000 to $1,200 that goes into Sophia's fund, that goes into Peyton's fund, that goes into all the different funds that we're going after, my hair care, all that stuff. Everything else. So all of that is automated, guys. It takes 2 seconds for us to do that. The only thing that we're actively writing down and thinking about is the miscellaneous stuff.
And I think you and I could both agree that there's less miscellaneous or less irregular expenses that go through than there are planned.
Yes.
Like most of our budget is planned expenses. We know exactly what's going to come out every single week. And we know that we use our groceries in our fast food envelopes. Mm-hmm. The irregular expenses, there are a couple here and there.
Few and far between. And a lot of times those expenses they've already been accounted for. So when we go get our car serviced and it was $200, we already have a fund for that. So it just cancels itself out. We're just writing it down. We're just writing it down just to be like, we did this month, but it's already reimbursed.
Because we like our budgets to tell a story.
Yes. As Amy says, every budget tells a story. And that's what it does. So again, I cannot tell you how freeing I think the cash budget, you're right, was like a turning point. That was like the pivot. I hate
that we started so late.
That was the pivot we needed that we didn't want to do.
If you're listening, I implore you to give it a try. Figure out what your grocery spending is on average every month. Figure out what your fast food spending is every month on average. Mm-hmm. And every 2 weeks when you get paid or whenever you get paid, find out that number and withdraw that from the bank in cash. Stick it in a box or an envelope, whatever you want to put it in. and use that only for your groceries and your fast food and just see how far it goes.
And if you didn't make enough, right? If you're like, ooh, I ran out so fast, there's a couple of things you're going to notice. One, did I need everything that I bought? Two, okay, do I need to inflate or do I need to decrease, whatever it happens to be? Okay. And it's going to take you a while to find that perfect medium. But once you find that perfect amount to take out, oof, we've used this literal same amount for years.
Through inflation.
And we're still like, oh, we have extra money left over. Like,
Right.
It's absolutely insane.
Like if you ask me,
It's been our secret weapon.
I could care less if you use paper pencil or if you use software, if you use like Microsoft Excel. I could care less. But ask me what of these you definitely need to at least
try.
Try.
Yeah.
Cash
budget. Cash.
Cash. Put the card away, pull out some cash and try it. I'm telling you, there's something about feeling that money and looking in that envelope and seeing like, oh, I only have a few 20s left, or oh, I only have a few like 50s or whatever it is left. Like
changes things.
It changes the way you shop.
Yep.
When you see your limits. And again, it's not restrictive because when you save like that, when you shop like that with that mindset, you only buy what you need.
Yeah.
And then when the week's out and you look to see what you have left over and you realize I have a surplus.
Yeah. It's the best feeling in the world. That's called abundance.
Wow.
I did a challenge, and then we'll do our CTA. I did a challenge with a group of people where it was it was like save $1,000, and it equates to like $30 a month or $30 a day. And we told people to literally take out $30 every single day and put it into an envelope. And one person took me up on it, and she was like, oh, there's no way that simply doing $30 a day, like, I don't know if that's actually going to work. And she literally did $30 a day, saved herself $1,000. And she was like, what the heck? This thing actually worked. I actually did it. I actually had more money in my bank account than I thought I did, because I was actually thinking about, oh, I have to take out $30 today. And she got so excited about it that she started saving $2,000 or whatever. Lo and behold, within like 6-8 months, she had paid off $100K. Obviously, she had started to save more than $30 a day if she did that. But she had businesses, and she started using that same simple concept. But it's not the simplicity, because they're not hard steps. It's the follow through.
Oh, the discipline.
It's the discipline of following through with actually using it and putting it into practice. And she paid off over $100,000. So it's not a matter of like, oh, I don't know if this is where this seems too simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Right? And the simplicity will motivate you, if I can say that word. The simplicity will motivate you. You build off those small, short,
incremental
little successes, right? You build off those baby steps, and then you start to move forward.
Progress over perfection, y'all.
So keep it simple.
Yep. Keep it simple.
Keep motivated.
Just keep going.
And then stay disciplined.
Stay disciplined. I hope you guys have enjoyed our talk today.
Oh my gosh, yes you did.
Because
don't even lie to yourself.
I am surprised that we were able to talk as long as we. I don't know why I'm still surprised that we can go off and nerd out about how passionate we are about this, because there is no reason why you should be listening to this and not be motivated to say, okay, I need to get better about my money, right? Or thinking, oh, but I can't, because I'm really hoping that you feel like this is so accessible for me. It is accessible for me to get over my fears of looking at my money. It is accessible to me to become that wealthy millionaire, whatever that I want to be. It is accessible to me to have a fully funded emergency fund. It is accessible to me. I am worthy of this because it is so accessible. And the moment that you start believing it is the moment that you actually feel it. So your CTA for today, which Daniel is writing down now, like...
Oh, no, go for it, because I have an affluent archive.
Oh, do you? Okay. So my CTA for you today is I want you to identify your learning style, okay? So I want you to think, what is the learning style that you think identifies with you the most? And your spouse, have a conversation about that. And think about what approach to your finances do you want to try that appeases the way that you both feel, the way that you both learn, things.
When you were playing tag as a kid, this is going into our affluent archive, by the way. This is our little nugget of wisdom. that we're going to add to our list of nuggets. When you were playing tag as a kid and you wanted to get to like that safe area, do you remember what that area was called?
It was called base.
Yeah, base. So today I want everyone to remember their affluent archive. Our little nugget of wisdom is find home base. Find your home base. What is home base for you? Is home for you pen and paper? Is home for you software? Is it Excel? Is it the envelope system? Like, what is a combination of all of those? What is home base for you? What feels like home? What feels comfortable? What feels good? And I want you to do just that. Like, stick to what feels good.
You know.
Stick to what you know. So find home base.
It's kind of like that. What's that movie that I like? Hitch.
Homeward Bound.
You remember Hitch when
I
he's
do.
like dancing from side to side?
Two-step.
Home base. This is home base right here. That's it. You don't need to do all that fancy stuff. Keep it simple. Just move from side to side.
And then build on that.
And just build on that.
When you get more comfortable.
Yep.
Branch out.
Right? So 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, 2 days at a time.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, guys, I really just thank you so much, Gram Fam, for coming out and listening in and, taking some time to spend some time. Little old us. We really appreciate you guys.
We really do.
So go, guys. Live in love, walk in wealth. Take care, y'all.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.